Oh, we got some Thursday night thoughts here on Nuke the House Sports Betting. And look at the handsome gentleman I have with me today. Spread Astaire from Northern California. And one JC Zargo, who is not where he's from, but he's down in Miami. Spread, he's at the Hard Rock Casino. He's going to the game tonight between the Bills and the Dolphins. So I'm kind of excited to have Zargo on. What's going on?
Man, I'm excited to talk to him too. It's been a while since I talked to my guy, JC Zargo. I know he's a big Dolphins fan and should be excited to see if they can turn the tide against the Buffalo Bills. They've seemed to have their number here in recent years.
Zargo, how's the female situation playing out right now in Southern Florida?
Well, Holden and I am married, so we don't really care that much.
It doesn't matter. You can still say if there's.
I will say it's. I would, from what I've seen, I would describe it similar to how Charles Barkley describes San Antonio.
What? In Florida?
I know. From what I've seen, I've been here like 24 hours now, and other than Charlie Villanueva's wife, who I did see in the airport, I saw Charlie Villanueva and his wife, very attractive female. Haven't really been impressed by anything I've seen.
She does not have alopecia, correct?
No.
All right, it's good to hear. Spread, I feel like he's down in South Florida. He's hanging out at a casino, so it must be a bunch of people that are bussed in, elderlies and others, because it should be a lot better than that in South Florida.
I thought it'd be better for sure.
I'm shocked. So
yeah. Well, we got best bets today. We're going to get some best bets out there. We'll break these games down, and I know each one of them wanted to talk a couple of Sunday games as well, so we'll get into that. But Spread, I promised Keg the first time I did a show with you, I was going to have to put this up here, and I apologize in advance. I think you know what may be coming, but oh boy, I'm sorry, pal. We got to do something with the photo again, because now
a glamour shot.
Our wonderful SEO lady, my future wife Casey, also said, "Is he a serial killer?"
Oh my gosh, are we back on this again?
We're back, yeah, because you look like one in your photo.
Okay, I'll fix it. I'll go grab my senior portrait like Tyler did.
Oh, that's too bad. But it is great to have you on, Spread. It really is. You've been doing a great job with your articles. If you haven't checked out This Week in Sports Betting, he does a great column that drops on Wednesdays. JC's doing a couple of game previews for us as well. So check out both of their articles on nukethehouse.com. Before we get going, Bills, Dolphins breakdown here on the show. Want to remind you, hit the like button right away. For some reason, it's really difficult for people just to scroll down and take 1 second to do that. So try and do that. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, Nuke the House, and turn the notifications on. And if you want to dip your toe in the water, you're like, I don't know if I want to sign up yet. Do this. Go to nukethehouse.com, click subscribe, go to the monthly plan. And if you sign up for a monthly plan, we're not going to charge you, but you're going to put the code NUKENFL in there, NUKENFL, and you'll get a free week. So it's as simple as that. Boys, let's jump right into this thing. Spread, we got the Bills, 2.5-point dogs on the road. We saw some threes hanging in this one. 48 is the total. It's down from 50.5. Now I'm just looking at DraftKings odds. Minus 42 for the Dolphins on the money line. Bills plus 120. Let's get some broad thoughts, Spread, on tonight's game in Florida.
First of all, I think the line movement is correct. I was surprised the line opened up. I was able to get 1.5 earlier in the week. And to me, that surprised me because I think these teams are equal at this point of the year. Obviously, I think the Bills have a better championship path, and I've talked about this before. The playoffs are played in January, and it really is a disadvantage to warm weather teams having to go outdoors. But when we're looking at these teams from a regular season perspective, they seem fairly equal to me. Both teams lost a bit on some defense this year. Normally, I'm a primetime under guy, Holden. I left that off the card tonight. I could see this game going over. And other than the recent spate of unders here in the NFL, I'm actually surprised to see that money go down. So if you like the over, hit it now, because I think that it will go back up as we get a little bit closer to kickoff. It's going to be a great game, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how these two teams match up. Two prolific offenses, two quote-unquote rebuilding defenses. Both teams definitely had some big losses on the defensive end on the last season, but both teams seem to be on point offensively to start the season, so I can't wait to see how they fare tonight.
Hey, Zargo, you're a Dolphins fan. You flew in for the game tonight. Talk to me here. Start with the Dolphins. How you feeling about them on the side, and then your thoughts on the turf.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough one for sure. Looking at the side, I mean that line has kind of just moved all over the place. I'm like from it was close to even money at one point. Obviously sitting at 2.5 now, and I think spread really nailed it on the head. Right when all things being equal, right, normal conditions, regular season game, these teams are very well matched. So I think you got to give the Dolphins the edge at home. What we saw in week one does not make this an easy game to bet. Right, both teams faltered in the first half, seemed to put together better in the second half. Mike McDaniel with the Dolphins did say, he kind of went with a little more vanilla playbook, wasn't too adventurous. So supposedly he's got some stuff he's going to break out for this game. So being completely unbiased, I really only give Miami a slight lean. And then on the total, I think you got to take the under. I think the threat of weather is what drove it from that 50.5 to 48.5. I don't think that's enough to make a difference. I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't think there's going to be too much explosive plays. It's raining now. I don't know if that's going to hold off. So if these teams can't go to the air, especially, I think that really makes the under a great play in this one.
Yeah, rain never bothers me unless it's a deluge, and the numbers kind of support that. But the wind is something. And I know they had a hurricane over on the Gulf side, but I'm not seeing too much as far as wind goes. And don't they have a kind of a roof there? It doesn't cover everything, right, Zargo? But it's still there.
Yeah, it's weird. It's not definitely not a roof, but it does. It's not a completely open air stadium like you see in most places.
Yeah. All right. So spread. Let's get into some best bets here. You're breaking down this game, the Bills, the Dolphins. You kind of you said maybe you got a lean in this one, and the total's coming down.
No, I bet
so,
Miami. I'm on
yeah,
Miami.
oh, so you're on Miami, 1.5, right? Is that what
I
you
got
said?
it at 1.5. I still think it's good at 2.5. Of course, I know you guys will be live tonight searching for that better number 2. So maybe a little patience if you're going to be able to be around your phone at that time, because, I mean, wouldn't be surprised to see Buffalo drive down the field at the beginning of the game, and then, you might be able to get a +2 or +3. I know Keg's the master of that. However, a little bit of rain wouldn't bother me. As far as we know, that can kind of help the offense sometimes, right, Holden? Because if you're trying to cover me, I know where I'm going and you don't. So sometimes rain a little bit can help the offense. I think that JC hit it on the head. What really drives an under is the wind. So if I see rain but not a lot of wind, I'm still leaning towards the over here. It would take a windy day to make me really be more interested in the under.
Well, you guys are talking about the Miami side. I mean, I can see this, going into this game. If Miami can get on the board first spread, I'm actually hoping to get 7 and a hook on the Bills, especially if this thing closes around 2.5. I think we can get that touchdown there, and then I'd back the Bills. Like 7.5 would be a lot, even if
I mean,
Miami
7.5 on either side would be good, and
yeah.
I can understand why you think that. Some things going against my pick, which made it a hard click to submit, but we know sometimes the hardest bets are the best bets. Is Josh Allen 10-2 in his career against the Miami Dolphins, so that doesn't bode well. Sean McDermott 8-5-1 against the spread in his career against the Miami Dolphins, and on the flip side, Tua Tagovailoa only 1-6 straight up against the Bills. But I think they can make this change tonight. I think one of the big differences between those Bills teams and the team that we're going to see tonight is I think this is the worst defense, at least at this point of the season. I'll give McDermott credit for his ability to develop players, but this is the worst defense that they've trotted out there in Josh Allen's whole tenure here. We see as they paid on the offensive side of the ball, they were having to lose some defensive depth. And then, of course, losing Matt Milano, who was their play caller on defense. A big loss there. Maybe open some things up for Jonnu Smith over the middle. Another thing that I'd like to point out in this game, if you guys are looking for props, the Bills run too high often as their base defense, and Jalen Waddle has had the most success against too high coverage of any type of coverage he's faced in his career. So could be a big night for Jalen Waddle. I'm also big on Tyreek Hill, though. I think this is a great opportunity for him to come back. We know that he had a little problems on the way to the stadium. I'm expecting him to drive and get there tonight without being arrested, and I think the team's going to rally around him. And I really like where Miami's at right now. I feel like they come in with a lot of motivation, and I feel they have more continuity with their offensive scheme as they continue this is their third year under McDaniels, right? So I like where they're at a lot.
Great breakdown spread. Hey, Zargo. So it looks like both of you guys are leaning toward the Miami side. Give us a little deeper breakdown on each side of the ball here with Miami and Buffalo, and then maybe another take on the spread or the total from you.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I definitely look at Miami's offense. We got Mostert that's out. A-Chain's questionable. That's a game time decision. At this point, I'd lay off his props. When I wrote my article, you could get like plus 130 on any time touchdown from him. That mover's moved to minus 130, and that's just terrible odds for a guy who is a game time decision. So I'd stay off that one, which means you're going to have to look to the receivers. As Spread said, Waddle a little underutilized last week. Tyreek Hill's always a threat. So, I mean, I could see them running something like an end around, kind of getting Tyreek inadvertently involved in the run game. Just kind of one of those plays, just flip it to him and let him cut loose. So I definitely think it's going to take some unique stuff with the injuries Miami's dealing with their backs for sure. Defense looked decent last week, right? After the Vic Fangio experiment failed miserably, they tried to just go a completely different direction this year. And while they lost some key pieces in the offseason, didn't miss much of a step. I mean, they didn't give up. We didn't see anything crazy that you would really think much of in a week one matchup. Just got to get your guys where you need them, because when you got playing Josh Allen, you always got to worry about him, scrambling, using his feet to move the chains. He's got that deep arm. Coleman is a guy I've been excited about for Buffalo all season. I've loaded up on his futures. Might be a guy to look at in this spot. But my favorite play on the Buffalo side is James Cook, over 60.5 yards. Last week he had like 70-some yards, but no touchdown, because the two times they rushed for a touchdown, Josh Allen was the one using his legs to get the job done. So looking at his yardage for rushing, I think is a great option there. I really like what you said about trying to catch that +7, because I do think this will be a close game. And so I think, just whenever you see either side get to a plus like that, I think that could be a really sweet bet.
Yeah, we got to get into this James Cook prop, because I'm a big James Cook guy, but the number was kind of getting a little flaky out there, especially if you bet it earlier in the week. But I do want to let everybody know that tonight we will be live betting once again. Our island shows have absolutely crushed last Thursday, 8-0, up a lot of units. The Friday night game was great. The Monday night game was great. We got our asses kicked on Sunday. But nonetheless, we had a profitable weekend, week one in the NFL. And tonight, 6:15 Eastern time, Keg and I are going to be on for Thursday Night Football. We'll be joined by Mike Randall from FTN. He's going to sit in with us in the second quarter and break some stuff down. And as always, you guys are invited too. So I want to talk a little bit more about this player prop, JC, and then maybe Spread, you've got some thoughts on it too. I love the Cook prop at 60.5. It's 59.5 at FanDuel, and early in the week it was at 62.5. JC, any reason why you think this number would come down? Do you think it was because people were worried about the weather earlier in the week and it dropped? Because I would think that it jumped back up again if people were worried about that.
It makes no sense to me why we see that kind of line movement based on what he did last week. Again, even in terrible weather, you're going to run the ball more. And the only thing I can think of is that they think they're going to utilize Josh Allen on the run more. I don't know. I can't come up with anything logically. I don't think there's any reason not to smash this play.
Yeah, he had James Cook had a couple rough games against him last year, but again, that's last year's spread. Anything in the props market that's standing out to you, maybe the touchdown market?
I talked earlier about Jalen Waddle's success against too high. I would go straight to Waddle for the 62.5 receiving yards. I think that he goes over there. I'm high in Tyreek Hill too. I built some showdown lineups this morning, and I had plenty of Hill on the captain. But I feel like his number's more appropriately priced. I think that you have a bigger edge on this Waddle prop. But I think that both receivers are in line to have a big day unless we get some sort of windstorm, which is why you guys do such a great job and can get an edge live betting this game and live betting these props, because you'll be able to see at the time. Right now we're speculating on the weather. You'll have a much better idea as the game goes on, seeing how these conditions affect the team.
Yeah, I think the big injury here, at least from a prop side, will be Raheem Mostert. Now, Devon Achane has played on the injury report before, and it did not look good. His numbers are straight struggling, to be honest with you guys, when he is on the injury report and he played. And it was 3 times last year, but let me dig this thing up. All right, so week 11 last year, he was on the injury report. He played 2 touchdowns or 2 touches, and then he missed another game. Week 15, 9 rushes, 3 yards, 3 targets. And then week 16, 7 rushes, 1 catch off the 3 targets. That's from Jeff Mueller on Twitter. But it's a little bit concerning there. And I wonder if either one of you would get interested in Jeff Wilson props or even Jalen Wright. Spread, I think Wilson's going to be the guy to go. And I know you're not into the player props on this one, but any hesitation on Achane with the injury this week?
So from a betting perspective, I'm not too worried about whether or not Achane plays. Okay. I think that Jeff Wilson and Jalen Wright can step in and do just fine. Building my teams today, I felt that Jeff Wilson and Josh Allen were just 2 people I had in every single lineup. And the reason is, like right now, I don't know what you have. I saw 27.5 a little earlier this week for Jeff Wilson as far as a rushing prop. I think he gets there. And if Achane does play, or Achane, however we want to pronounce it, I'm bad with the pronunciation.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any Wilson props right now, and I've been searching around for them to see if they'll drop again.
The one I thought was on Caesars, which I don't have access to. But
they are at Caesars, because Unabated wasn't showing any of it. If it's at Caesars, that's a bet I'm interested in, depending on the number. But I could see him going, hitting the 40-yard mark tonight. If Achane is limited, like he's been this week in practice.
Wilson's the safest option in my mind, because even if Achane plays, Wilson's going to get that secondary work, and it's because he came over with McDaniel from San Francisco. He knows the blocking schemes the best, and you can, disguise the run and the pass better with him. Whereas Jalen Wright, I'm not as comfortable with him on blitz pickups.
So you were shaking your head like this. What do you think of Wilson? I didn't even see him on. I didn't even see it offered on Caesars. Zargo, if you were going to go in on Wilson tonight, would you be interested? And is there a number off the top of your head that might make it interesting?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen those props either, because I was wondering what they'd be. I initially thought maybe you go with the rookie and Jalen Wright, but I think in a big divisional game, you got to go with the experience of Jeff Wilson Jr. He knows the system. He had some big games last year. So I think that's a good option. I wouldn't do anything crazy. I think 2025 is about right, because I'd be more worried about Achane coming in and being completely half healthy, putting up 75 plus yards, and then you're stuck with nothing. So I really wouldn't go too crazy on the Jeff Wilson Jr. props.
Guys, I want to bring one more guy up, and Zargo, I'll come to you first on this. Ray Davis, who got 3 carries, I think 14 yards last week. He's got a prop at 7.5 at MGM and Caesars, but he's 9.5 elsewhere around the industry. What do you think of the Bills' rush defense, and maybe this kid being able to pick up 10 yards tonight, 8 to 10 yards tonight as a secondary prop, because no one's talking about Ray Davis?
I think that's a tremendous option, just because, that could be one play, right? Cook goes to the bench for whatever reason, like I said, whether it's that secondary work, twist his ankle, just needs a couple plays off, whatever. On a prop that could be accumulated in 1 carry, why not take a stab at it?
So I'll throw this at you, Spread. You like Tyreek to get in the end zone tonight?
Yeah, if I'm going to bet a Tyreek prop pregame, I would do his touchdown. I like the Waddle on the yardage a little bit more. But we saw last Sunday, who else in the NFL can – no, that's a 30-yard pickup on his 80-yard touchdown play. His safety even took the proper angle. That's just one of those things.
I don't know how he, when I was watching that, I'm like, I don't know how he broke away.
Yeah, if I hadn't seen it from him before, I would have been a lot more shocked. But we're pretty much used to that from Tyreek Hill as well. Did you want to jump on the other side of the board, Holden?
What would be the other side of the board?
If we're looking at the Bills, I think that a player that had a quiet week 1, I'm interested to see if he can start living up to expectations, and that's Dalton Kincaid.
Oh, I
Dalton
thought you
Kincaid.
were going to say Waddle again, but no, you're going to the other side.
No,
So Dalton
because we've
Kincaid.
been. I mean, so far, I mean, we might as well be on a Miami AM radio, right? I mean, we sound
Well,
like
because
straight
both of you
homers
guys
here.
like Miami. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm pushing the Bills tonight. All right, so talk to me about Dalton Kincaid. Where are you seeing this?
I mean, we love these overreactions, right? And not overreact. I think that it's so funny. I used to love betting NFL Week 2. I think the market is so cornered the NFL overreactions. Wasn't salivating as much as usual. But so where I think now the overreactions are going to come will be in the prop market. Players that were really quiet, that had huge fantasy expectations in the offseason. Marvin Harrison Jr. And then in this game tonight, Dalton Kincaid, right? A lot of push for him. A lot of people had him rated as tight end 1 going into the season, expecting him to have the best statistical season of any tight end on the board. And he finishes with a quiet 1 for 11 yards. But if you look at all the tight end receptions, they were all big plays. When the tight ends do get involved, it's down the field. And I wouldn't be surprised after a quiet week 1 where it seemed like a lot of those targets were going to newcomer Keon Coleman, which really surprised us because we would think that Allen had a little more rapport or chemistry, things of that nature with Dalton Kincaid. He was really making an effort to get Keon Coleman involved. I think we see an effort to get the big tight end back in the fold tonight, and I like him to go over. Right now in Bet Online, I'm seeing 45.5 yards. I would not be surprised to see him get there, especially if the game plays out in the way that JC and I are. Well, I don't know if JC bet it, but I bet it. And that's if Miami wins this game, I think they get out to an early lead, which allows them to establish the run, in which case Buffalo playing from behind should be huge. For Josh Allen props and Buffalo receiving props.
I'm seeing a lot of people right now on Dalton Kincaid. I'm seeing a lot more people on Jalen Waddle tonight. I'm seeing overs on his 4.5 receptions. I'm seeing over on his yards too. And I wonder if, Zargo, do you see any inefficiency there? I know Spread said he liked it a little bit, but what about Waddle?
I'm on Waddle to score a touchdown. I mean, Tyreek's Tyreek. That's always a great bet, but you're never going to catch. It's always going to be around 130. I don't know his numbers against Buffalo off the top of my head, but
I'll say this though. Last year they went double high safety on him and and did contain him in week 1, and then the last game of the season when they faced off, Tyreek got in the end zone, had a bigger game. But if they played double high safety tonight, then it is going to be a Waddle night, and maybe Jonathan.
That's exactly where I was going with it. Because the opportunities are there, right? I mean, in any situation where your number 1 is that good, it just opens things up for number 2. And with Jalen Waddle being good enough to be a number 1 receiver on a lot of other teams, just great odds, great options. I have money on him to score a touchdown tonight.
All right, chat, throw your best bet in the chat right now if you get a chance. I see everybody in here. Tyler's here. We're going to do Nuke the Props tomorrow, our prop show at 4 o'clock. I went 3-0 last week, so I'm sure there's going to be some massive correction this week. But like I said, if you got any player props or sides or totals or any type of bet you want to throw in the chat, let's do it, and I'd love to hear it.
Holden, let me give one more out for the people there on the Buffalo side. Matt Collins. Right now I see him at 18.5, but I know you're going to be on there live betting. If he has the quiet opening series or 2, that might drop below 10 yards. I'd be targeting that if I were you guys.
Under 10 yards on Hollins then, huh?
No, I'm saying right now I'm seeing 18.5. But
yeah,
let's say
you go
he doesn't
over
get a reception
10
the first 2, it's going to drop to like 10, and then I would hit the over because I do think he's going to be involved tonight.
That's interesting. All right, boys, we're not just talking about Thursday Night Football, but we did spend the majority of the show on that because it is Thursday. Like button would be great. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, especially if you're watching on X. Come on over, Nuke the House YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications. You'll know exactly when we go live. And the last thing to tell you, Nuke NFL is the code to get you a free week. You don't have to purchase the monthly plan, but go to nukethehouse.com, click on subscribe. Go to the monthly plan, put the code Nuke NFL, Nuke NFL in there, and then you will get a free week. And hopefully you'll stick around after that. That would be nice. Hey, Spread, I know there's a couple of games on Sunday you wanted to discuss. Zargo, a couple for you as well. So let's do that real quick. I know you've got plays on the Rams and the Cardinals and the Steelers and the Broncos, Spread. What are you seeing in those 2 games, and what do you want to play in those 2 games?
Right, my first game, I'm taking the Rams as an underdog in Arizona. I know that Arizona actually quietly has a better home field advantage than we'd expect since they're not the most popular team here. But I loved what I saw from the Rams last week. I felt fortunate. That was the play that I gave out in this week in sports betting last week. Lions -3.5. I thought the Lions were going to win by 10 points at 17-3. I thought I was a genius. I'm patting myself on the back for an easy win. And we ended up sweating that thing all the way out to overtime and almost had to hit a parlay because I needed to win that coin toss in order to, so it's like we had to get the coin toss and then get the touchdown. They were able to get there. But what were my takeaways? One of my big reasons for downgrading the Rams and wanting to go against them was the injuries on their offensive line. So what did Sean McVay do? Let's go ahead and give him credit. He turned Matt Stafford into late Tom Brady and to late Peyton Manning. He got the ball out in about 2.5 seconds or less on almost every single play, which was able to mitigate the pass rush. Because if you watch, the Lions were beating those guys up, right? Their pass rush win rate on PFF or whatever statistic is, they're going to get a lot of those. He was just getting the ball out so fast. Kupp is excellent at finding those holes in the zone early, and they've done a great job of integrating Demarcus Robinson and Colby Parkinson into the fold. So while we do have questions about the Rams' offensive line and maybe their ability to run the ball, their ability to throw is still nonstop. And Matt Stafford could be one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. Kyler Murray, on the other hand, to me, is the prototypical fantasy player. And we see this a lot in the NBA with guys that put up big stats, but I don't trust them to get the win. And I saw that again last weekend against Buffalo. I know that's a tough place to start on the road, but that's not the most ferocious defense. And Kyler couldn't get it done there. At the same time, I got Stafford, who I just think is clutch. And if they would have won the toss, they could have potentially won that game with a touchdown as well, the way that he was able to dice up that defense. So I love the Los Angeles Rams going on the road, getting the win straight up in Arizona.
All right, let's hear from you, Zargo. By the way, Joey Work's in the house. What up, Joey Work? I'm about to welcome Zargo to your vacation. Is this your vacation rental or my vacation rental? No, you're down at the Hard Rock today. Beautiful. South Florida, Zargo. It's not a vacation rental.
Right on.
I love me some Joey Work.
For sure. For me, man, this weekend, my favorite play is Indianapolis -2.5 at Lambeau. I do not understand this number. I was high on the Colts going into this year, but they showed out against the Texans. They looked really great there. And they get to go against Green Bay and Malik Willis. I mean, if Jordan Love doesn't play, I don't know why the Colts aren't a touchdown favorite. Willis is doubtful. After we saw in week 1, Colts are going to be a great team. Great, easy target for me on that one. And then the other thing, man, the other one that jumps out to me is Kansas City -6 against the Bengals. Probably going to be a little bit tighter than we want. Burrow, though, looked terrible last week. Looks like he might have a wrist injury. And I don't know how many years in a row now we have to enter the season, the Bengals looking horrible, and be like, oh, they're going to get it right. They're going to get it right. And they don't get it right. I'm about ready to write this team off. I don't know if it is.
What? After 1 week?
This is the 3rd year in a row that we've been doing this, of being like, oh, it's okay. They're going to get it right. They're going to right the ship. It was the Super Bowl hangover. It was, working Burrow back in the system, whatever. But they just looked horrible. And so I don't see any reason not to hammer Kansas City playing at home. It's going to be a long time before I bet on the Bengals again. I'm tired of losing money on them, and I've lost money on them week 1, and I'm not making the same mistake I did the previous 2 years. On top of that, Kansas City's great. They win, they cover, they do everything we need them to do, so I'm rocking with the Chiefs.
Yeah, T. Higgins isn't practicing again, too. And there was a great bet from Keg earlier in the week. It was subscribers only, where he had the Kansas City Chiefs team total over 12.5. The line's moved now to -65, so we're not going to bet a 165 on 12.5 points. But I thought that was a really good look by Keg there, and you got to be a subscriber to get those picks. So spread tonight, one more time. Best bet. Talk to us.
Well, can I give out my other favorite play of the week?
Oh, sure, man. You
know
can
we
do
gotta
whatever
be
you
quick.
want. Your spread Astaire.
All right. I have one more play here.
Okay.
And I hate, at least I took a dog in the first one. We didn't give out all favorites, but I absolutely love the Pittsburgh Steelers this week going to Denver to take on your Broncos. And Holden, if you read my articles, I still like the Broncos to go over their win total.
Yep.
But we've seen it every year, and it's not just these players. I mean, C.J. Stroud looked terrible in week 1 last year. Look how that turned out. But I think this is going to be a rough welcome to the NFL. First, he faces that Seattle defense schemed up by Mike McDonald. Then he goes, and he's got to face Mike Tomlin. And we saw what T.J. Watt was able to do, confusing, and then Tomlin confusing and experienced quarterback in Kirk Cousins. And I know the Cousins is coming off a delay, but this is a tough welcome to the NFL moment for Bo Nix. And I just like the Steelers to go ahead and get another win on the road.
All right, buddy. So best bet in tonight's game, though, spread.
I'm taking the Miami Dolphins, even though it moved to 2.5. Like I said, if you've got time, watch it live. But if you're going out on a hot date or you're in Miami, you're gonna be, you've got all the hot girls with you. That's why JC's not seeing them, and you don't have time. I would even lay it here at 2.5. I think the Dolphins finally get right against the Buffalo Bills and right some of their past wrongs because, boy, they've struggled against this team. And I think, we talk about sometimes a win is more than just one win. This would be that case for this Miami team to really make a statement tonight and take over really first place in the AFC East if they were able to get a win. I think this game's going to mean so much to them. I think JC's right. I think they saved some plays for this week. I expect to see some more creative game planning out of there, and I just trust this offense more. I think the Dolphins get out to a big lead. You can probably get that 7.5 at some point with the Bills because I expect to see some great first 25 or first 15 that they like to just plan out before the game. I think McDaniels is going to give it all. Miami Dolphins get the win.
All right, what about you, Zargo? Talk to me here. Best bet for tonight.
I'm taking that James Cook over 16.5 yards. I just think too much can happen with Miami's offense. You never really know who's going to see the action. You never know when a little outlet pass to Tyreek Hill is going to turn into 80 yards. So that's why I'm going to just go ahead, take the safe play, James Cook over 16.5 rushing yards.
All right, very good. And I'll just be targeting this game live tonight, see if I can get Buffalo at 7 or more points. And then I'll talk to Keg before the show starts, maybe even the Miami side too. I wonder what his thoughts are, but he's a live betting master. So tonight, 8:15 Eastern, Thursday Night Football, live line. Keg and I will be live betting it. We'll have some guests on, and I'm really looking forward to doing it. And I want to thank you guys, Fred and Zargo, for hopping on today. I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Thanks for having us, Holden.
Of course. I'm going to throw the graphic up here. No, I'm not. I'm just going to hit the music, and we're going to say goodbye. It was wonderful seeing both of you. For Zargo, for Fred, I'm Holden. Snoop the house.
Thank you, guys.